Hello out there everybody, welcome back to another AOG Lifestyle video. In today's video we're going to be talking about Paul. We're going to be talking about a specific situation that Paul was in where he was just trying to survive. That's all he was doing, was just trying to survive, just like we try to do each and every day. We just try to get through another day. But more specifically, we're talking about when Paul is trying to survive here, something comes out of nowhere and tries to kill him, should have killed him, could have, and in any normal circumstance where somebody didn't have Jesus to trust in, they would have been in a perilous situation. But because he had Jesus, well, I'm going to get into that more into the video, but what we are focusing on today is why we should aspire to be more like Paul, because he trusts in Jesus and is also constantly trying to get closer to Jesus. No matter his circumstances, he always looks to him for what he needs. So let's go ahead and jump in the video. Alright, so to give you more context about where we are in the Bible, we are in Acts. We're towards the end of Acts, but more specifically we're in chapter 28. I'm going to talk a little bit about what goes on before chapter 28, but more specifically what exactly in chapter 28 are we talking about. So I talked about a situation where Paul should have been freaking out. He should have been, for all means and purposes, any normal person would not discredit you for freaking out because, well, you could die. This situation that he's in, he actually should have died, but his reaction to it is just something that I hope that I have enough faith in God to react this way. So I'm going to read this for you. We're going to be in Acts chapter 28. We're going to read verses 3 through 5. We're going to condense this down a little bit, but I'm going to talk more about what happens after that a little bit too. So it says in verse 3, Acts chapter 28 and verse 3, "And when Paul had gathered a bundle of sticks and laid them on the fire, there came a viper out of the heat and fastened onto his hand." See, already right there, and it wouldn't have mattered if it was poisonous or not. If it was just a snake that fastened on my hand, I'm freaking out. It's there's no doubt about it, because for one, I'm not 100% sure whether or not this is venomous yet. You have to look at it at least to be able to determine that, and I'm not the expert at that anyways. But to move on, we're in 28 verse 4, "And when the barbarians saw the venomous beast hang on his hand, they said among themselves, No doubt this man is a murderer, whom though he hath escaped the sea, yet vengeance suffereth not to live." So not only did the snake jump up and bite him, but the people around him are freaking out. They're like, well, he was on a boat as a prisoner, and now this snake has surely killed him, because we know that anybody bitten by this snake has died. Most likely anybody that these barbarians have seen in the past bit by the snake, well, obviously they didn't live, because they're expecting Paul to fall down in front of them and swell up and die. Paul's reaction is definitely not what mine would be, but I definitely want to get to the point where Paul is in this next verse. So we were just read 4, we're in 5 now. "And he shook off the beast into the fire and felt no harm." Well, I can tell you this. If the venomous snake bit me, I'm not just shaking him off into the fire. I'm probably going to get up, do circles, run around the fire screaming, "Somebody please call a doctor, somebody help me." But in that situation, there wouldn't have been that anyways. So basically, I would just be counting the minutes till I'm dying, saying all my goodbyes to the people around me that I actually liked. That's not what Paul does. See, Paul is building a fire. He's just trying to survive. He just wants some warmth out here in the situation that he's in, from a perilous situation he came from already. He was on a shipwrecked boat where anybody would have been freaking out then, but not Paul. So he goes from one bad situation to a worse situation. And when the snake comes out of nowhere, just like a lot of our problems come out of nowhere, we're just trying to get through each and every day, and problems come out of nowhere. Some may even be deadly, just like this snake. What should we do? We should be just like Paul. Why? Because we're trying to be more and more like Jesus every day. He did not worry. even to certain death, even when he knew he was going to die, because he knew he was going to rise again. And you see, I'm not so sure that Paul just wasn't worried about not dying. He might have even expected to die, but he wasn't worried about it. Why was he not worried about it? Because he knew where he was going and who he would be with if he did die. So there was no worry or fear in Paul's heart, because he knew that Jesus was going to take care of him. He had faith so strong that even if he did die and knew that he was going to die, he's not going to worry. He just shook it off. And that is what I want to encourage you, and even myself today, is when you're just trying to survive, when you're just living from day to day and that venomous snake just comes out of nowhere, when that flat tire in the middle of the highway comes out of nowhere, when that bill hits you out of nowhere, when life just hits you out of nowhere, I want you to look at Jesus. I want you to start praying. And I want you to shake it off into the fire, metaphorically, just like Paul did. So what I want this video to be about, and ultimately the channel and everything that we do here at AOG Lifestyle, is to encourage you, to encourage myself, to have more faith in Jesus, to follow Jesus closer and closer every day. And what better way to do that than to follow some examples of the people that were the apostles in the Bible that followed Jesus as closely as anybody possibly could. And what happens when his apostles were faced with certain death, and he didn't know this was coming. He might have been able to see the shipwreck before that coming because of the storm he could see out in the distance. But this time he was just simply trying to gather wood, start a fire so that he could survive, coming out of one disaster into another. And when certain death hit him, he didn't freak out as I would have. He just shook it off. And I hope that we can get to a place in our life that no matter the diagnoses, no matter how big the bill, no matter what it is, that we can just shake it off because we have that much faith in Jesus. Well, hope you enjoyed the video. And as always, keep on the full armor of God, so that next time something just hits you out of nowhere, next time life just blindsides you, you can just shake it off just like Paul. And I hope you have a blessed day. And don't forget to like, subscribe, follow the channel, help us out on Facebook, follow the Facebook page, share videos just so we can get the good message out there to more and more people. And I will see you next time.